Hello and happy Tuesday from this Tuesday baby at Radically Rational and radicallyrational.com. Cassidy Hutchinson. If you're not familiar with that name, you will be, and your children and grandchildren will be reading that name in history books. Yeah, this is that big a deal. This hastily called hearing session today, yeah, it's that big a deal. Because Cassidy Hutchinson knows where all the bodies are buried. She knows about all of these criminals who knew they had engaged in criminal activity, who are then on their knees begging for pardons. She knows about the attempt to weaponize the United States Department of Justice. She knows all about the authors and the details of this wacky, illegal, fake electors scheme. And she was sitting right there when Donald Trump reacted gleefully to the chance of hang Mike Pence. It's that big a deal. John Eastman, I really wouldn't want to be you, because if there's one person in this entire episode who is going down for sure, it's you, and here's the reason. Because everybody on every point of the compass is willing to sacrifice you, Lambkins. And that was hellacious, man. You coming out of a restaurant, haven't even digested your cheesecake yet, and they're taking your phone. Ooh, that is now phone flambe for sure. The praying coach thing. In isolation, I didn't get all worked up about it. As you know, I am a big proponent of the Establishment Clause. Of course, some of you don't know that the Establishment Clause exists, but I'm also a proponent of free expression, and that goes for religious matters too. Here's the problem. You can't have it both ways. And the Supreme Court, as usual, is trying to have it both ways and trying to twist logic and precedent. You can say that it's just an individual expression, but if you're wearing that shirt and you're coaching that football team, and you're doing this at the 50-yard line, that is absolutely the equivalent of school-sponsored and sanctioned prayer. And yes, sir, you were making a spectacle of yourself. In isolation, I'm not worked up. But here's something I will be worked up about, because we know this for sure, because we just saw it on other subjects. The Supreme Court will now use this individual ruling in this lawsuit. They will use this, I promise you, as a pretext for returning organized, scheduled, mandatory, and don't think it's non-denominational, prayer in public schools. I'll promise you that's where this is going. And while I'm not worked up about this individual case, I'll fight you there like a damn rabid badger. Deshaun Watson, I took a look at your horoscope. Tuesday gonna suck for you. Oh, and the Houston Texans. You know, I love the Texans, but this doesn't look good. That suit that was filed yesterday, there are a lot of damning details and specifics, and it absolutely looks as if the organization aided and abetted and enabled all of that. So when Sue Robinson gets through with Deshaun Watson, she may turn her attention to the Texans. And this could be bad. I mean, not just a huge fine, they could lose a lot of draft choices and some other things besides. I want to take a minute to remember one of my early pro football heroes, Marlon Briscoe. Marlon Briscoe was the first black quarterback to start in a game in the Super Bowl era. He played for the Denver Broncos. He was thrown in on an emergency basis. He was a starter for about 5 games. He did a good job. And the following year was not allowed to compete for the starting job. He asked for his release. He got it. He became a star receiver with first the Buffalo Bills and later the Miami Dolphins, and won a pair of Super Bowl rings. He was a true trailblazer. He died yesterday at the age of 76. And I remember how much respect I had for that guy. And he blazed a lot of trails. And speaking of, if you have not seen the documentary on the late American tennis hero Arthur Ashe, Citizen Ashe, you have to see that. My goodness, American stud in every way, and he was his own man. And he did things his way, and there was a standard of integrity there that you just don't see very often. And it was made all the way the more striking because he was competing at a time when men's tennis was largely dominated by assholes like Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe. We're radically rational.